It happened in room 202, on an ordinary Wednesday morning. And no one was prepared for what Emily Grace did next. Emily wasn't popular. She wasn't loud. She wasn't the girl people invited to parties, or picked first in gym. She was the one who slipped into class quietly, always sat at the back, always had her head in a book, and never raised her hand unless she absolutely had to. She wore old, baggy clothes and tied her hair in a low, plain ponytail every day. And that made her the perfect target. Brandon, Lucas, and Zoe were the self-declared rulers of the classroom. Sharp tongues, cruel laughs, and a hunger for attention. To them, Emily was invisible until the day she accidentally corrected Zoe during a literature discussion. Emily hadn't even meant to be rude. But she had quoted a line from Jane Eyre and gently mentioned Zoe had misread it. Zoe's fake smile froze. The air in the room chilled. Brandon leaned in with a smirk. "Looks like the mouse found a voice," he sneered. From that day, the torment began. They started small. A spilled water bottle accidentally soaking her homework. A chair pulled just as she sat. A cruel nickname, Ink Rat, because she always carried black pens and doodled in her margins. Emily said nothing. Not once. She simply wiped her homework. Picked herself up. Kept quiet. Until Friday. The day it all exploded. The class was halfway through an English test. Heads were down. Pens were scribbling. The room was silent. That's when Brandon leaned back and whispered, "Watch this." He held up a bottle of black fountain pen ink, Zoe's, and grinned. Before anyone could blink, he uncapped it and poured it right over Emily's head. Gasps shot around the room. The ink splashed down her brown ponytail, soaked into her hoodie, ran down her cheek. People stared. Some laughed awkwardly. A few looked horrified. Emily didn't scream. She didn't cry. She slowly reached up, rubbed the ink deep into her scalp with both hands, looked up at Brandon and whispered, "Now watch." The room froze. Brandon blinked. "What?" Emily stood up slowly. Her face was smeared, her hands black. Her eyes were calm, too calm. "Are you done?" she asked, quietly. Brandon snorted, "What are you gonna do? Cry to the teacher?" She smiled. Not a sweet smile. A knowing smile. "I think it's time everyone saw what happens when you push someone too far." The next part no one expected. Emily reached into her backpack and pulled out her sketchbook. She walked to the front of the class, turned to the teacher, Mr. Reynolds, and said, "May I show them something?" The teacher, stunned but curious, nodded. She opened the sketchbook and held it up. It was filled with portraits every student in class, drawn in black ink with breathtaking detail. Every expression, every subtle angle. Even Brandon, Lucas, and Zoe were there except in theirs, Emily had added something else, the truth. Zoe's face was drawn with sharp, forked snake tongues. Brandon's had cruel laughter coming from a dark shadow behind him. Lucas's eyes were hollow, drawn as empty voids. Beneath each drawing, Emily had written tiny poems, each line exposing the pain they had caused her and others. "You call me a mouse," Emily said. "But I've been watching. Listening. Drawing. Recording everything while you laughed." Silence. Mr. Reynolds stepped forward. He took the sketchbook, flipped through it, and his jaw clenched. "I had no idea," he murmured. Emily looked at him. "I didn't think anyone cared." That moment changed everything. Brandon tried to laugh it off. Zoe rolled her eyes. Lucas mumbled something about just a joke. But it was too late. Mr. Reynolds marched the three of them to the principal's office with the sketchbook in hand. Emily stayed behind, still covered in ink, still calm. Some students began to clap. Others looked down in shame. No one knew what to say. But they all knew something had shifted. In the days that followed, the bullies were suspended. Zoe's parents called the school in fury, but the evidence was clear. And Emily? She became more than the quiet girl. Teachers asked her to design posters. Students asked for drawings. She didn't say much, but when she did, people listened. Her art, once hidden in the back of her notebook, now hung in the hallways. And the message was clear. Just because someone is silent doesn't mean they are weak. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room holds the loudest truth. Moral: don't mistake silence for weakness. Real power often lives in stillness. Respect others, you never know what strength is hiding beneath the surface.